Welcome to the Simple Idea Podcast. My name is Makai Green, and this is a podcast on self-growth and personal development. Every week, my goal is to share my struggles and my successes with the aim to improve along the way. Each episode focuses on valuable life lessons and personal learning experiences that I hope will positively influence and inspire you. With the introduction out of the way, let's get into this next episode. Welcome back to the Simple Idea Podcast. My name is Makai Green, and this is a podcast on self-help and personal development. You probably already heard the intro, but today we got a special guest, and the show's first guest, actually. It's a producer from Maryland. His name is KiLaMDaPro, and Kilam, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good, man. Pretty good. You?
All right, I can't complain, man. I know we were just talking before, but I really feel like this is going to be a pretty good interview, Our energies gel pretty well. But I do want to hop right into this like I do in traditional fashion, and I want you to give the people a little bit of background information about yourself, who you are, what you do, those sort of things.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, you already, so my name, I'm KiLaMDaPro. I'm a Maryland-based producer. /artist. I've been producing for about 7 years, going on 8 now, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I always go back to that. I always whenever I think about how long I've been doing what I've been doing, it always changes, and I'm because I have been doing it for a while now that I think about it, since I was in middle school. I say 7th or 8th grade, and I'm 20. I'm about to turn 23. I'm 22 right now. I'm turning 23 next month.
Okay.
So yeah, man. So I've been doing this for a while. I actually just to jump into it, I started out in playing trumpet. I was in band when I was younger, since elementary school. I had played trumpet for about 6-7 years for a while too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I learned how to that was my introduction into really understanding music and counting bars and learning rhythms, and that helped a lot with as far as my style goes and how I've crafted over the years. So that was my beginning, as far as knowing okay, I really want to that was my where I told myself yeah, this is what I want to do. Music is what I want to focus on as a whole. So
yeah. So you're basically, what you're saying here is once you started playing the trumpet, that's where your formal education started, and that's where you sort of started diving further into that world of music, and that kind of helped you develop a style. Because I noticed in a lot of your music, there's some brass in there, and just a lot of the, for me personally, I listen to a lot of the songs where you have a little bit of a soul, or just a little bit of a, what's the right word I would use there? It's more soulful, more brassy,
instrumentation.
Instrumentation too.
Definitely, man. That's a big part of my style. Was that having that soul, that swing, that sometimes unorthodox, depending on how I'm feeling. Which a lot of the music I make really kind of depends on how I'm feeling in the moment and at the time. I think about that a lot too. Just going. It always goes back to my roots. Yeah, me playing the trumpet and just learning. That's where I learned to kind of understand. Because before that, I always was music, listening to music, but it wasn't until then where I dove in. I went into just the how a song is crafted, or how why does this sound make this sound, and why do these combine together to create this one unique sound that can emote that can make you feel something,
So you became more intentional with your consumption and your production of music after
exactly
playing an instrument.
Yeah,
which is fair, because at that point, that's not something you're going to be ignorant towards. It's something that you're going to obviously pursue, or try to learn more about, which I totally understand.
Yeah, and and to the add on to that, I think most of my family's a lot of my dad, he was a drummer. So that kind of plays to it too, I was always surrounded by music and all of that, the music that I was kind of exposed to younger. You can hear a lot of influences from what I was listening to when I was younger, from my parents and my uncle and a lot of other people that kind of helped craft that. And and while that was happening, as I got further into my music production career, what I've been doing, I've went away from that, and I've crafted my own sense of like my style, which is it's hard to do, um,
Hmm.
when you're first starting out. You begin like producing, and it's like I want to be like Dilla or Ninth Wonder
Hmm.
or Madlib or
Yeah.
anyone, like you hear those guys and it's like, yo, I want to make, because that's how I really started out making music. Is like I just wanted to create music that was similar to that. I wanted to create music for people that had the same like passion for it as I did. When I heard a Dilla track and I was like about my
Yeah.
head, like, what, how do you do this? Like I wanted to make something that would emote, those types of feelings out of other people, and just kind of continue the progression of like just dope music, as a whole. I want to
I know
be
exactly what you mean.
a
So like, oh yeah, but I think that kind of answers the question I had for you next with like why or how did you settle into music? But so I'm assuming, like you said, you were already heavily involved with it, or your family had ties to some form of music over the course of your life. So it was pretty much just a given at that point that you were going to be involved in music in some shape or form, is what
yeah,
you're saying. So like,
yeah.
was there ever room for something like creative writing or something like dancing over music? Was that ever a thought, or was it just in the back of your head, like, nah, like music is what I need to be doing?
Funny thing is, yeah, I was gonna add on to. I actually, when I was younger, I actually wanted to be an artist. Like I wanted to draw. I wanted to like paint, draw when I was like really young, because my father's brother, my uncle, he was an artist, and I would always hang with him, and I would always see him like drawing and sketching and painting. So
Hmm.
like that was, I wanted to be an artist first before even music. So that was like younger than before I started playing the trumpet. I wanted to be an artist, and I was like sketching all the time. I was drawing. I still do draw, but I back then that was like my main thing that I wanted to do. And then like in between that, also too, I love movies. So
Hmm.
I even wanted to be like a director or something with movies. Like that was all, like it was those two things. I would love movies and I love drawing before even music. And those are two different creative.
Yeah, different routes.
Yeah, allowed me to like express myself like in a different way when I was like really young. I had a, when you're young, you have a huge imagination. So it's like whether you're playing with toys, or you're like acting out,
Hmm.
drawing stuff, drawing comics, or I had a huge imagination. So it was like that was a good outlet for me to just kind of expand on that. I would watch a movie or something, and I would like try to do that. Like I try to do comics and reenact certain scenes that I saw in movies, even though the comics are bad. Like, if I ever look at my drawing,
Yeah.
like then it's like Jesus Christ. But it's like I was proud of what I was able to do for that time. So
Hmm.
that was pre music. Kalam was like the art and that.
So like you pretty much were able to grow up in an environment where creativity was most likely kind of not enforced, but it was encouraged, I guess you could say.
Yeah, of
So
course.
you had the room to move around and freely operate and kind of find your niche in whatever creative style you were pursuing,
Yeah, yeah,
which is
exactly. Exactly. I had like I had the space to really get creative and explore that, and it wasn't looked down upon, or I wasn't kind of pushed away from it. It was it was encouraged, like you said, younger, and
so,
I'm grateful for that, super grateful for
yeah.
that, my family and stuff. So
Oh yeah, definitely. So and like I mean, this is probably the case with most kids. So I feel like this. I'm not sure if this is worth saying or not, but early on we are encouraged to like, what do you want to be when you're older? You want to do this? You want to draw? You want to be an astronaut? Astronaut, excuse me. You want to be a doctor, a lawyer? You want to be a painter? All these different things. So kids, they always do have, for the most part, the encouragement to pursue some type of creative passion. But with this episode specifically, I want to look at how we grow out of not really being creative once we hit like a certain age.
yeah,
Like once you hit high school, once you hit going into college, if you decide to go to college, or just that
yeah,
17, 18-year old age range,
yeah,
that's when we really lose track of creativity, and it becomes just do what the rest of the world is doing, basically. You
yeah.
know,
Oh
wake
man,
up every day, go to work. You get the picture that I'm painting here.
yeah, definitely. I have these conversations a lot, or just like I think of them, all the time. Like you
Yeah.
said, you do hear like a yeah, it's hard. Some people, I talk to different people, and always like they always say, yeah, I used to play guitar, or I used to draw, or I used to, something
Just
just
yeah, it's like I
creative.
used to do gymnastics, or I used to do
Yeah,
finger painting or tap dancing, all these different things. And
yeah,
then you sit there and ask them why, and it's just like, oh well, I grew up. But I don't think growing up is an excuse to
you
completely
know,
just disregard the idea of being creative as a whole.
yeah, man, you gotta like keep that passion, man. Like it can be hard though. Like for some people it can, especially
Well, no,
depending on the
yeah,
environment people are in.
mhm,
Some people, I'm grateful that I was able to be around the people that with friends, family, that I wasn't like I said, pushed away from that. Like it was like do it, like they
yeah,
was totally on board with it. And some people don't have that, um, you
the
know,
same support system, I guess you could say.
yeah, and it's like it's sad because you see so many talented people, whether it's like
Mhm.
anything, like creative people, or just like not even that, beyond that, like or someone that's really a really good speaker, or they can perform certain acts, or what I mean. Just there's so much talent, and it sometimes people can lose sight of that, and it's like you said, some people might say, "Oh, I just grew up," but you gotta keep that, man. You gotta keep that passion because it's something that you can't get back. Like not that you can't get back, but it's not like a job where a job you can kind of just but a passion
Yeah,
is something that you gotta like hold, you gotta hold it. Don't let it go because
exactly.
you never know. You don't want to look back and wish that you would have kept up dancing, or you would have kept up singing, or you would have kept up
Yeah,
drawing and creating.
exactly. No, I know exactly what you're saying. Because at that point, you got to think life becomes a little bit more stale. You start to become
Yeah,
a little bit more bitter towards the people around you, and it's all because we completely put creativity as something that's we just throw it on the back burner because we don't have time for creativity. We have time for you know going to our 9 to 5, or we have time for paying bills, or making sure the kids go to school, or we do this and that,
yeah,
everything but really hone in and express what we are and what we value as people, as individuals. And
yeah, for
I don't
sure.
know.
I mean, yeah, it goes into like that too. Like you do that when you grow up, responsibilities that hit you. Like you said, and it does
Mhm.
becomes more difficult, and like that's why I'm glad that I kept up with it because it's like I could have just been like, oh, whatever. Like I could have just let it go and be like, all right, let me just this ain't really working out, or you had those thoughts, and it's like I would never I wouldn't let a job come between like what I do with my music. I don't like even if I wasn't getting paid for my music, like
Mhm.
time where I wasn't getting paid at all, and I was doing it just off the strength of like the passion for it. And
Exactly.
I wouldn't let a job or anything come between that because that's more sacred to me. That like that I've had since I was younger. And
Yeah.
it's over the years, over each time I've had the thought like, oh, am I what am I? You had those thoughts like, what am I doing? Like, am I really doing? But if
Yeah. No, I know
you get
exactly what you mean.
yeah, you get over those
'Cause-
humps, man, and it becomes clear. Each time you get over a hump, it gets clearer. It gets clearer and clearer. It's not all the way clear, but you get there. You're getting there.
mhm. And I
Just so
think like, oh yeah, no, go ahead, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead, go. I'll finish.
Yeah, but I think like where the issue arises, like where people, and this comes back to the society that we live in. Excuse me, but we're always looking to find a way to monetize something, which is
Mhm.
the other thing. So there's not a way to make money from it. Usually, like I said, it kind of just gets thrown on the back burner,
Yeah,
and like you can't throw a passion on the back burner. A passion is something like you said that's sacred to you and something that shouldn't die out. It's something that gives you a sense of fulfillment or purpose, and
hmm
just when you wake up in the morning, you're happy that you have that thing underneath your belt because it's something that has value to you
yeah,
in your life.
yeah,
But I don't know, just it just really gets thrown to the back burner a lot, and
yeah. Like you have
it's
to
sad to
have,
see.
yeah, you having that passion. Like I always think like um beyond the money. Of course, the best thing that can come out of it is like you can be able to sustain like a life where you can earn from what you create. You can live off what you create. Like that's like the for a lot of people, the end goal, like, you know what I mean? Once you can like
Hmm.
earn and live off what you make, that's like the best feeling. But like even before that, even before like the thought of like the money, like even when you were telling me how you really like enjoy my music or you found it like 2 months ago, like that feeling right there, whenever I hear that, that makes
Yeah,
me like, that gives me that extra boost to like, all right, let me
it
keep,
lets you know that it was.
yeah, that gives
Yeah,
me that like, let me go and create something now. You know what I mean? So I can keep fueling the energy. You know, 'cause it's not always
yeah.
easy. It's not always easy because, again, like with anything you make, me specifically with my music, um, it's like a part of me. You know what I mean? Like every chunk that I make, it's almost like it's a piece of me I'm putting into the music in a way. You know, and
Hmm.
it
You
can
have
be
a personal stake in it. Like
yeah,
it's.
yeah. It's not just something that I make, and I'm like, because if I don't vibe with it, like I'm just like, nope. Even if it's something that like someone else would be like, oh, that's, but I need to like know that I inside like this is something that like I can feel this, and when I know that I feel it, I know that when I put it out, even if it, I don't care, not that I don't care, but it'll get the reception it'll get. Like I know that it'll get to the ears that it needs to get to, you know. Um,
Hmm.
but once it gets past me, it has to get past me first as how I feel, and if I know I'm vibing with it, like I put it out, and I'm like, I hope I like to uh put that out, and so people, when people feel like motivated from it in different ways, like I always see like I've had one friend tell me like he like cried during one, like because it reminded him like of something in the past or something. And I was like, wow, like the past, like the power of like music itself, is incredible. Um,
Yeah, there's nothing like it for sure, man. There's nothing like music. I will tell you that now.
Yeah, man, like
And
the
it just,
emotions and yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and like that, this sort of leads me into another question I have for you, actually. But like amongst your schedule, because people are crazy busy all the time, and everybody has these different hectic lives that they live, and
Yeah.
just a bunch of craziness throughout the day that they have going on. Where do you find the time to create your music, or just to engage in things that are meaningful to you?
Um, it depends because like I try to be more organized as far as like sometimes I do tell myself like I'm gonna make something, or I'm gonna dedicate this time to create something, and sometimes it goes good, and sometimes it's like not really feeling it, but uh it's just about like it depends, like something
Yeah.
sometimes it's like a switch that goes off. Like I might see something or hear something, it's a switch that goes off, and I'm like it when I get into the zone of creating or like expressing myself, whether it's like I'm drawing, because I still draw, I still do portraits and stuff like that
Hmm.
on my own time. Even that's kind of hard sometimes to do because drawing is like a whole
That's
nother,
very time consuming.
yeah, it's a whole nother time consuming thing from the music. But like when I do that, it's like I'm focused on that, and it's like I put on some music and I just go to, I focus on that, the drawing that I'm doing, and I put like my all into it. It's not like I don't have do it. I go all in, and like I really dedicate myself to putting, working on it and piecing it together. Same thing with the
Hmm.
music. I go to work on it, and it's a certain zone, a certain creative zone I get into, and I've talked about this with other people that draw or make music or do anything other where they're creating something.
Yeah.
It's a zone that you get into, and it's interesting because it's like once you get into that zone, it's like nothing else really can come between that. When I get into a certain zone, it's like I'm all in. Like I'm just like I'm
Yeah.
completely into it, and it's a whole nother like it's almost
So,
like
oh
a
yeah, go ahead. Good.
what'd you say? No, say what you're gonna say.
Oh yeah. So for you, it's like flipping a switch, and then at that point in time, you're fully like 110% like committed to the idea of creating or producing whatever it is that you have on your mind. That's
Yeah,
pretty much what I'm
yeah,
getting.
yeah. It's a switch,
Uh,
and it's like when it's going good, when it's like I'm on board. Like yesterday, I actually was making some stuff yesterday, and it was like 2, 3 in the morning, and like I was working on some stuff, and I'm usually like up that late, but I was working on some stuff, and it was really like I don't know. It's weird. Like it's something that I can't like predict like all the time. It just happens, and I'm like I'm in it, and I'm just like this is it. Like I'm working on it. I'm not even thinking. I'm just kind of like I'm thinking, but it's not like I'm not. How can I say? It's like I'm not. I kind of like
it like, kind of just
autopilot.
kicks in.
Yeah, it takes control. It's like it takes control of itself, like me just like making stuff. I'm just like going through the motions because I've done it so much that it's like boom, like all right, let me put this here, let me um
Hmm.
do this, and it's like I've done it so long that it's like secondhand nature, and it's like I'm not even it's like walking or breathing. It's like it's secondhand. Like I'm not thinking
Yeah.
about it too much, but I'm doing it.
And
Um,
that's and I would imagine like that's over the course of, like you said, years at this point. So this is something that
mm,
like you're fully like kind of invested in. Like this has become like a way of life for you at this point. So
yeah,
you
man.
might have other things that are going on throughout the day, but like once that creative switch kind of kicks in, or you recognize that you need to create something, like that's it, and like that becomes priority number one.
Yeah, because
And
yeah,
oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the feeling that like I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to that you get when you do something uh productive or like when you finish something, it's a feeling that's like yeah, like I did that, or it's like a feeling or you
Hmm.
feel good, it's like
Yeah,
even if
I get
it's
what
just
you mean.
you. Yeah, I mean, like I might not have anyone else to tell, but it's just me. Like for me, it's like I did that, and it just feels good, and it kind of like it's like I run off of that energy, like off that one little spark that I had, I run off of it, and I go and I go, and and that's how I've been able to like it helps a lot, especially like you said, with a
Hmm.
lot of things going on. It feels good to be able to have that space where I can just make music, or I can draw, or I can think of creative ideas, creative like new things to do or add to
To
my
do or
music.
just put out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
So and this kind of leads me into another question that I have as well. But since like, you've been doing this for years now, so this is something that like, is just like secondhand nature for you at this point. And
mm,
what I really want people to get out of this episode is that this is for the people who they don't necessarily kind of they're not necessarily creative all the time. Like they need to kind of get in the rhythm or
mm,
the idea of expressing their creativity or just like
yeah,
traveling down that path to see what it is that's in store for them. So with that
yeah.
said, how how are other people able to pursue creativity throughout their busy days or when they have these busy environments that they have to deal with? Because they might not have that same switch that you have. They might not have
Yeah.
the years of experience or the years of just produce like all these different things that you do. You've been doing it for so long. How does somebody that has no experience with this at all and that experience that might have been robbed from them at some point in time years ago, how do they get back into it? Like, what advice
Yeah,
would you give to people?
yeah. For that, like you said, some people don't have that. Like, and you said, I've been doing it for so long, and like people that might when like they might want to get back into something, or like it's. I think of there's a story, right, of this. Well, not a story, but it's a real like thing. It's an older guy. He's like 70, right, 72, and
Mm-hmm.
I had read online, and he actually he was like I think he had to stay home, or he was like hospitalized, or the doctor told him to stay home, or so. And during his time home, he's 72, mind you. He's at home. He produces at 72, and he produces
Oh,
like
it's not.
trap beats. Yeah, and I was like, that's crazy,
Wait,
and that's
this guy is like this is a real thing.
yes, it's a real thing. His name is I can't remember exactly what his name is. I'll probably send you a link or something later. But like, I wish I could remember
Oh
his
yeah,
name. But
definitely.
he's an older guy, and um, this other MC rapper named Ad2 actually brought him in the studio, and the 72-year-old man, he brought like his beats in on the computer, and like he's on like Rolling Stone now, and like because at his age, it's like
Wait,
you don't
seriously?
hear about that. Yeah, you don't hear about that too much. A 72-year-old
Yeah.
like producing at that age, and that leads me back to like you can get into anything at any age, even if you're 30 or like 40, or because life does hit you sometimes, and you lose that passion. You have real life stuff to deal with, um, but like
Mm-hmm. For
it
sure.
hits you at the right time when when the opportunity presents itself. I think is when you take it. Like that's why any opportunity I get to like do my music, or any opportunity like this podcast here, like when I first got your message, I was like, yeah, I'm all aboard because it's like speaking on this, or even if it's not like it's relating to music itself, and the act of contributing to like uh something like with the podcast speaking on music or any type of creative um way
Like
like
endeavor, basically.
yeah. It's like anything that's relating to that or contributing, I'm always like for it. Like so people that like like you said, it's kind of hard. It's hard to be creative whether you're at work or but like even when I was at school, I would be in school. I remember specifically in like 11th grade, all throughout high
Hmm.
school, really, all throughout high school, I would of course I was kind of slacking on work. I'm not gonna lie, but I would be like
Oh,
on
we
the
all were,
computer.
man.
Yeah, I'd be like on the computer, man, and I would be watching like Pete Rock videos, beat making videos, just thought in class, and people would be like, "What are you doing?" And
Yeah,
I'm like, I would be watching like beat videos, or I'd be watching Dilla videos, or him making beats, or Kanye West like making beats, or like Ninth Wonder stuff,
yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of like not really knowing that it would help me out later, but I'm just a sponge, just soaking on everything, and like it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. It's never completely lost. You can still
Yeah,
find
it's
the
always obtainable. It's always something that
yeah.
can be, you know, kind of just reintroduced back into your life. And I know you said that there is, like everybody's time is different. And I think that's right because everybody has different situations or just different things in life that they're dealing with. But
Mhm.
I want to let people know that it's something that is able to be attacked at any given moment in time as long as you treat whatever creative passion or like whatever expression or form of expression you want to go about as a priority in your life. It has the ability to maintain relevancy or just ultimately just boost your sense of fulfillment as a person. Because
Mhm.
for most people, whatever little side hustle or side creative project or passion, whatever it is they have, for the majority of people, it's realistic to say it'll only just be a passion. It won't go anything further than that. So whether you like to, read and collect books, that's your passion. That's how you express yourself. You like sharing books with people, right? The chances
Mhm.
of that turning into something that creates a profit down the road might not be very high, but it's still something that gives you that sense of fulfillment. And
Exactly.
yeah, and that's what I want people to realize. It doesn't have to be something that you know creates some type of monetary you know payout. Like there doesn't have to be money involved for you to express yourself. That's really
Yeah,
what I want to
man.
get at. But it's
Yeah,
possible.
and yeah, like you said, it you can do like you said, whatever you're doing, especially if it doesn't have to be anything extraordinary as far as like some you can be an actor, anything you want to do. You could collect cards, like I mean,
Hmm.
it could be anything. You like collecting cards, like collecting medals, like collecting like any type of thing that you enjoy personally yourself. It
Yeah,
matters to you, because you will have people that will tell you this won't go anywhere or this won't bring you money or are you earning from this. It
yeah,
goes beyond that because they don't know, and even if you don't really know, but you should have that mentality of like I love it, and this makes me fit when I'm doing it. Whether you could be singing, acting, you could be, I don't know, you could, I
hmm,
mean, you just like exercising
yeah.
or,
This is
it's
exactly.
any of
And
that.
hey, keep going, bro.
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, it's cool. No, it's cool. And like you said, I want to go back to what you said with the money thing. Like, it doesn't when you're doing it, even I'll take it away like because of course when you're younger, you don't have to pay bills, and so it's easier to kind of be like, this is all I'm gonna do when you're younger. But even when you get older, you can still like you might not earn money. You're not going to earn money from anything in the beginning. Like you can go to anybody's like story that somebody it could be somebody that does like a podcast or somebody that does like a YouTube channel or someone that I mean anything. They'll tell you like I wasn't off the back like overnight. Of course some people
Hmm.
try to look for that nowadays. Now it's days there's a lot of like trying to become something overnight. Um, which I wouldn't tell anybody to look for that automatically off the bat because you need that passion behind it. That like I love doing this because I love doing it. And once you
Hmm.
when that comes into play the authenticity of like what
Yeah.
you're doing. Other people see that and they gravitate towards it, and you do gain like a sort of audience of people that enjoy what you do too and want to be a part of it. You bring in other people that might do the same thing as you that you never knew that was out there. Um,
Hmm.
and you can connect with. so many different people. That's the main reason, with music, I connected with people from all over the world. I connected with someone, the first person I collabed with, shouts out to Janelli. She's from, well, she was in
Mhm.
Amsterdam. But she speaks like, she was rapping in Dutch,
Oh,
and
it's not.
yeah, she was the first person that ever rapped on one of my tracks. And at first I was kind of like, whoa, like, I had never collabed with anybody beyond that point, but I was glad I did, because we created a bond after that, and I've known her for some years now. And
Yeah, that sounds
it
awesome, man.
yeah, it just opens up a lot of doors, man. You keep doing it regardless of, in the beginning it might not be the best, but you build something. You want to build a foundation first, and from that foundation will come everything else. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, like with this podcast, that's you kind of just spoke my story really. But like I started this thing back in I want to say like December, January ish, like 2018 going into 2019,
Yeah.
and just the idea of it wasn't necessarily like me wanting to get paid for my podcast and make money and all this. For me, like this kind of gave me like purpose, and like it's very very simple, but I want to just I want to learn and I want to grow as a person. So
Mhm.
my goal is really just to talk to different people like you, people who are doing these amazing things, who are reaching out to other people who, you're creating something that matters. You're living a life that I want other people to live. You know what I mean? Like you have a sense of fulfillment or purpose throughout life. And at the end of the day, like that's what I'm searching for, just fulfillment and purpose. And I just want to spread that message with other people. So this
Yeah.
podcast is allowing me to do that. This thing, I'm not looking for money from it. I'm not looking for financial gain. I'm doing this because it genuinely makes me happy, and I get to meet different people. Like I said, like you. I
Mhm.
would have never, in a million years, would have thought to reach out to you if I didn't have this podcast. And I would never be speaking to you. I'd probably still be listening to your music, and I think it'd
Yeah.
be cool. But now that's like one less connection that I just don't have. I would have never reached out to you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
And
man.
it's
That's
it's
why I'm
that
glad
simple.
you. Yeah, and I'm glad you did actually reach out. Because you never know. That's another thing. Going forth and going ahead with something that because sometimes you can be like skeptical, like, oh, I don't know if I should do that, or oh, if I do that, he might not. But you never know. And I hit you back, and I
Mhm.
was like, let's do it. I was all for it, and I
Yeah,
and and I'm always, I get messages by people, but like I can tell when something is like, you know, even when before we started the podcast, we just started talking, like it was,
hmm
I could talk to you. You know what I mean? Like it's like you
yeah,
said, it's another connection that it's one
yeah,
thing to listen to
exactly. Like when I
someone
first started
music.
talking to you, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just a genuine connection. Like how like you have to force a conversation with somebody, or you just kind of feel out of your element. It didn't feel that way for me. So like I don't know.
Yeah, man.
I'm grateful. I'm happy about it. Like and the fact that you're my first guest, man, I really do appreciate it. And we've
Oh,
had
that's
a
dope.
lot of
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah, when you said that, he was like, it's the first guest. I was like, oh man, that's like, that's an honor, man. Like that's dope. I'm glad to be like, honored to be the
You're
first
getting
guest.
us off to a good start. Definitely a
Yeah,
good
man.
start
Like
here.
like you
Oh,
said, man, it's all about spreading. Oh, what you gonna say?
oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say one more thing. I was gonna say, yeah, what you said about spreading just like that energy, and like just kind of, letting people know they can build on something, regardless of where the money comes. That'll come when it comes, that if you're invested in something that you're confident about, and that confidence builds over time. But
Mhm.
when you're confident about something, you invest in something, it'll all the other stuff will fall in line. Same thing with your podcast. With me coming on board,
Absolutely, yeah.
you get comfortable with, like, just talking with other creative people, or anybody that does anything else, and that stuff will fall in line for you. I can already tell, like, you're just like speaking with you, and like you're on we're on the same
Yeah.
page, wavelength. So
No, yeah, absolutely. Which is the goal. Over time, you want to get better, but the first like step is to put that foundation down and to build off of that. So
yeah.
uh, that's what I really want to encourage here. Just start, even if it's for like 2 or 3 minutes a day.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, that's a very short amount of time to create something or to express yourself. But I'm gonna sit here and argue that 2 or 3 minutes is better than nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, man.
that's what we're here. One other question. It might have been answered. So I mean,
No, go
I'm
ahead.
still gonna ask it anyway. But
Yeah,
for you, like, what purpose does being creative serve in your life, and what does it mean to you as a person? And I feel like you might have touched upon that a little bit already.
I could probably
If you
touch
feel
on
like
it
you have
more.
anything else to say,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
I could
yeah.
definitely touch on that more. It man, it's like, I think a lot of other people will say it, especially if they, like you said, whatever they do creatively. It's if I wasn't doing this, like it's kind of hard to picture not having this, not being able
Yeah.
to make music for me or draw or like express myself that way. Like this is like
At this
it's
point,
so
like this is
much.
your identity, right?
Yeah,
Would you say
it's
that
like
it's
yeah, man. It allows me to go somewhere else for a bit or like really kind of hone in on it helps me build on who I am like as a person. Like over the years, I've just been able to. I've changed, of course, but the music has always
mm-hmm.
been there. The music has always been there, and it's like I find myself even I've been doing it producing for about 7 going on 8 years, but it's so much to learn. I think that's what makes me gives me like knowing that like I don't know everything, and if you and that goes for
Yeah,
everyone. If you do know everything, you wanna be always be a student to what you're doing. It's so much to learn. It's
absolutely.
always
Yeah,
gonna be something
there's too
else
much
to
knowledge
learn.
in this world to ever know anything. And I think
Yeah,
how
yeah,
people
yeah,
should approach life altogether is just you're just a student until you die. That's really how it is. There's
yeah,
too much
man.
to learn in this world.
Yeah,
Even the
like I'll
masters.
be. Yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah. I'm doing this till like my death. Like if I'm on the deathbed, I'm making beats. Like, you're gonna see me making beats. Uh,
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
man. Like, and that goes into like I'm in a music collective. With a couple of guys. I don't know if you've seen it, maybe on my page, but
Yeah,
Foreknowledge
I saw on your
Collective.
SoundCloud.
Yeah, Foreknowledge
Mm-hmm.
Collective, and our thing is FK to my death day. But like we that it's me Hobbs, Jer, Play, Calamity, Quadge, Buddha, Gaspacho, and
Mm-hmm.
Night Ali, us. It's that's the group of people. Shout out to them. But we're bunch of mind. We can come together, and they're who I've met them all through like just SoundCloud, and they're all over the place. You know what I mean? Like Gaspacho, he's in like
Mm-hmm.
France, and Hobbs he's one of the people that's in America. He's in like the East Coast, which I'm probably going to link up with him probably like next month or so. But
Oh
like
yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah, they're all in different places, but we can all
Especially
like
if
come together.
you got people nearby. That's an instant link right there. But it's kind of cool how you're able
Are you still there?
to just meet all these different people from across the world just through music too. By the way,
Oh,
hey, you still there? I think you might have kicked out.
I think it cut out. You still there?
Yep, I'm here. Something happened. I'm not too sure
Yeah,
what.
like cut out, but it's okay.
But
What
yeah,
you saying?
continue. Oh, I was just saying, like, just the fact that you have somebody like right on the East Coast with you, and they're in your collective, like that's an instant link right there. And just you being able to meet all these different people, just from SoundCloud, but they have like similar mindsets or just the same creative passions as you. Like it just helps you
Yeah,
build as a person. It's like one
yeah,
never-ending cycle of just building each other up and just learning, experiencing
yeah.
different things together.
Yeah, man. I'm
But,
actually I was in Maryland. I actually moved to New Mexico like about I think like 2 years ago. I've been here for 2 years now, but like that's where I've
oh,
grown up,
nice.
Maryland, DC. Yeah, but I'm planning on going back and like just visiting, like linking up with some people. But yeah, man.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
It, just being able to share like ideas with other people or like your same passion with other people. It that also helps. It also like gives you that motivation to keep going and knowing that other people are also feeling the same way you're feeling. You're not alone in any of this, even if people might not
Yeah.
say it out loud, but they're definitely, that's even with the podcast, like when you were telling me the stuff, I was like, I already understand, dude. Like with the
Mm-hmm.
audio and trying to like all that, like it's like now I know
Oh, yeah,
what people that
definitely.
do podcasts, like I feel their pain. Like even if they don't put it all of it out for the public to see, but like I totally understand. You know what I mean? So
Oh, yeah,
it's
absolutely. It's
yeah,
it's a learning curve and whatnot. But no, that's awesome. Because that last question just gave me a different perspective on some of the things you were saying before. Because like your identity, like you kind of like identify with like what you're doing, but at the same time, like that identity is kind of pushed on other people too, and it becomes like
mm,
more community based. And this might just be like what you're doing specifically. That might not apply to everybody, but like this is
mm,
a part of your story. Like it's not just like music is your identity, but it's also like the identity of other people, and then they kind of like
Yeah.
you guys are just throwing ideas back and forth all the time. It's really
Yeah,
community based.
yeah.
It's really cool to see that. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, the community is like a huge aspect. Like I've over like the last year, a couple of years, it's definitely been something I've been focusing on with like reaching out to like different people in the community, you know, that make music and like talking to them or speaking to them or just kind of building some sort
mhm.
of bond, you know, that's beyond just like collabing. Like when I collab with someone, I like to know that they're on the same, you know, page as far as us sharing ideas and creating something together. You know, we're not in the same place, but it's like it's good to be able to,
Be on the same
um,
wavelength.
yeah, and talk and like get to know them as a person.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
get to know the person, or even you. Like just when we spoke a little for the podcast, cut on just to kind of get a feel for who you are as a person, and then just go from there. You know, makes it much easier.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Um, all right, so I do have two quick questions for you, and these are just kind of like opinion things.
Oh,
And
go ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, but who is your favorite artist currently? It doesn't matter what style of music. I might not know who it is if you like chose like
Yeah.
some.
Oh
I
man.
yeah, go. I want to hear this.
Oh man, my favorite artist currently. It's hard, man, because
Yeah,
I find myself like listening to a lot of my friends a lot more than like I could
like
say
more
like
mainstream.
yeah, like a lot of my friends. There's so many people to name, um, but like I find myself want to listen to the community a lot more and just kind of and being like, man, these guys are it's so many dope people. Uh, that's like maybe not like mainstream like how other people are, but it's like man, they're getting there. It's
Mm-hmm.
everyone's putting in work and like I can say my influences a lot stem from like people like Lupe Fiasco. So many people.
That's
MF
good.
Doom. MF Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, man, it's like it's such a long list. Flying Lotus. I mean, I named Ninth Wonder, Dilla, of course, Madlib.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, New Habes. It's
Ooh,
just
okay,
it's
okay.
so many people. Yeah, it's so many different like, and even like I'll go into like the like stuff like Bjork. You know her?
I don't think I'm too
BJ
familiar.
or RK. Yeah, Bjork. Yeah, I go into like freaking like groups like rock. Like it's so many genres I
Yeah,
listen to that like it switches. Um, I listen to Nine Inch Nails. Like, I listen to everything, man. I'm just like all of
yeah.
it. Like
As a producer, you probably have to though, because you're always pulling different beats and just different
yeah,
ideas and just like I get it, man. Like you have to be consistently constantly listening to music, so you probably have a lot of different artists and songs and whatnot that you like.
yeah. And I tried to
Yeah,
get put into a one genre like lo-fi. I know lo-fi is popular, whereas
yeah,
lo-fi has gotten like such a hype now with like all the
yeah.
playlists and listen like chill hop playlists and like people like the homework playlist lo-fi stuff
Yo,
and YouTube and it's like
see,
exploding.
I will forever say this. I was on that before people were doing the whole YouTube playlist thing, but no, I'm messing, man. It's good to see that it's like getting more recognition because I mean, I personally that's something I listen to a lot. Between that and a lot of R&B and rap, hip hop, like that's really where I stay at. But I'll listen to some rock. I'll listen to different things. I'm no
Yeah.
stranger.
And Erica Badu. Yeah, I'm like thinking like you made me like think of like all these different artists like that I've been listening to and Jill Scott. It's so many, man. And like you said, like I try not to. I was saying I try to get put into a certain genre because I try to I make a lot of music that I don't put out. That's like not crazy, but it's more stuff that I know like people would
Experimental.
hear. Yeah, they would probably be like like not that they would look like side eye, but it's stuff that I'll probably eventually put out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's stuff to get my creative mind flowing. You know, when I first come back to making beats after I haven't made beats, so like sometimes it's weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've gone the full month, but sometimes it's weeks, days, however long, and I'm like, I come back and it's like, all right, let me get the gears rolling, you know, moving again. So let me make something that's like so far left field that I can kind of make something that it'll resonate with uh almost anyone. You know, if you when you listen to it, it'll
Yeah,
grab you
I know
off the
exactly
bat.
what you're saying. And honestly, that type of music is usually the most intriguing to me because it's outside of what you're normally hearing or what you're listening to. Like
Yeah, I try.
oh, yeah, go
I,
ahead.
No, I was gonna say one more quick, and you can go to what you were saying. I was gonna say it's almost like a controlled. I make stuff that's like a controlled chaos in a way, because it's not it's not just one. How can I say this? Like, even when I listen to like some of the stuff I made, like I'll listen to like some of my old stuff, and I'm like, how did I make this? I'm not in the mindset I was when I made it, but it's like it's
Yeah,
something that's wild, but it's still controlled, but it's still like it has like that groove, and it's still unkiltered. It's still like unorthodox in a way, but it's still like, you can still bob your head, you can still feel it. But
yeah.
yeah, what were you gonna say again, though?
Oh no, well, basically, I was just getting like a feel for what you were saying there, but no, like the whole like unorthodox, like kind of like experimental vibe. Like I personally kind of like that stuff, and then not that this is even remotely similar to what you're doing, but it's kind of like how Odd Future came onto the scene years ago,
Mm,
and they had like they were hip hop and rap and whatnot, but they weren't doing hip hop and rap like other people.
mm,
But it was still kind of like it was something you could still listen to because a lot of their stuff was like I'm not gonna call it like extremely experimental because I've heard crazier things, but it was
mm.
just different from like what uh what the mainstream rap game
Yeah,
was
man.
kind of throwing out there.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when they came into the scene, it was like a big uproar, like, "Oh my
Yeah,
God!"
it's like who are these guys? What are they doing? Like this is
Yeah,
weird. But like
yeah,
weird is good sometimes, man. Sometimes it makes you think and it just
yeah.
gives you, like I
I
said,
love
different
weird.
perspectives.
Hell yeah,
Exactly.
man. I gotta make my stuff a little weird. Like, I gotta put some weirdness to my stuff a lot of time. Like, I gotta have something that's like, it's I can't have it too perfect. Like, I want it to be a little like messy, but still like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
adding a little stuff in there to kind of quirk it up and make it quirky, and I love that.
absolutely. You got to make
Yeah,
it unique and have it be your own. So I
yeah,
totally get it,
man.
man.
Which is hard, but yeah, it's you get there
Yeah,
in due time.
for sure, for sure. And one other question, another opinion question, but and I know you said you listen to like a lot of your community, which is like fair to say. So if you have any like artists or albums or projects, whatever it is that you want to shout out, feel free to do that too. But what was your favorite project or album from last year? Just curious.
And this could be from anybody or specifically from the community.
It can be whatever you're listening to, like your
Okay.
personal favorite thing ever. You can. I'll plug it in here too. Whatever you want to do. I'm
Damn.
just curious.
Yeah. My favorite album project from last year. It's so much music too that dropped last year. I was thinking about that. Like, it's so much music that drops constantly. There's
Hmm.
like so many different projects. I remember I was listening to the Currency and Freddie Gibbs little EP joint with Alchemist on the production. That was pretty dope. But as far as my favorite, Lupe had dropped. That was like a dope. I thought that production on there and his lyricism was fire. My homie Hobbs Duande. He dropped a project every
Yeah.
week, and it was basically an album. But and
Yeah, definitely. Link me to this stuff after this episode. I'm
yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Some
Oh
of
yeah,
this
I'm
I
gonna
haven't
link
heard.
you. Yeah, I'm gonna link you to it all.
For
Cause
sure, for
I'm
sure.
constantly listening to like music, and sometimes I forget more music than I like. What's that saying go? Like, you forget more than you. I'm like butchering that saying. Like, when they say like people you forget more like than you know, or something like that. It's something along the lines of that. Like, I'm always like, I'm listening to so much music that I'm like overriding.
What
You know, like I
you?
think
Yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're
it's like
saying. Actually,
it's like my mind is like a history. Like, like going to a history tab, and it's like, if you go, you build so much that like the other older stuff has to get like over. It gets deleted, or
overridden
like,
and kind of just forgotten about.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know
but it's
exactly what
still there. But it's like, it's so it's
you, I know what you mean.
yeah, man, it's so much to remember. But definitely like it's so many different projects. I remember rest in peace to Mac Miller. I listened to his
Oh
project
my
last year.
goodness, man!
Really dope.
You didn't just say Mac.
Mac
Listen, man,
Miller.
that's my favorite artist of all time. Like I know it's crazy to sound, and like I have this argument with people all the time, but he is without a doubt like the best. Like not even just rapper, just artist I've ever like heard, seen,
Oh man, yeah,
everything, man. Like he was next level, and like before
Mac
he died,
Miller.
he was he didn't have that same mainstream appeal he had when he was dropping out those earlier mixtapes. But
Yeah,
I also hear and say
Mac,
like he was a top 3 to 5 rapper for me. Like just some
he
of like
um
his production work was crazy, man.
yeah, Mac Miller, man, he's probably had one of the most impressive like how he's evolved over the time. Because I remember when he
Oh
first
yeah,
came out. I remember when he first came out with Kids,
yeah,
the mixtape, and I wasn't really onto him back then. It wasn't until watching movies with the sound off. I believe that was was that
Yeah.
the one where he's like, yeah, watching movies with
Yep.
the sound off. And that's when I was like, okay, like he kind of opened. I was like, all right, Mac
Hmm.
Miller, all right, I'm kind of on board. And like even his recent album, I was just like, it dropped around the same time as Astro World, and I actually was
Yep.
I listened to
Hmm.
Astro and I listened to Mac Miller, man. I was just like, yo, this album is like nobody was talking about it though, and I was kind of like,
Yep.
this album is fucking
It's a work of art. It was
yeah.
beautiful,
I
man.
was
And people
I was like,
were dismissing it for Astroworld, saying Mac Miller who. Da, da, da. And I'm like, oh
yeah,
man,
I
you
was
guys
just
don't
like,
appreciate
man.
real music.
And
And like
then and
I might
then
be. Okay, go ahead.
and I was gonna say, and then look what happened later. Then he passes away. Then everyone is like, oh,
Yep.
it's just like, damn, man. Like it's true.
Should
You don't get the credit, or people don't really have their eyes and
appreciate you
ears
until you're
on
gone.
you. Yeah, until you're gone. It's like,
And it
damn.
shouldn't have been like that. But that's how the world will forever most likely be, unfortunately. And it
Yeah,
sucks.
man.
But no, Mac was great, and same for me. Like I started listening to him around like Faces. I want to say,
Yeah,
to this day,
faces.
it's
Yeah,
probably one of my favorite projects. That's probably my favorite mixtape I've ever heard, to be honest. And I've listened to a few, but
yeah. Yeah, that joint. I gotta actually go back and listen to that. That was a dope project. Faces. That joint.
when I tell
But
you I listen to that thing like 3 times a week, I might not even be joking. I
damn.
literally just got listening to it today. Yeah, like every beat, every sound is so intentional and just well placed. Like I said, I'm no
Yeah.
producer. You probably know more than I do, but if you go through and listen to it, let me know what you think. Because
Yeah. I'll definitely. We'll have to chat about that later, and I'll probably like. Yes, we'll have to. Yeah, we'll talk about that a lot of stuff after, like with like sharing music and stuff like that. Like, I got a lot to send you, but
oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, man, Mac Miller and have you heard Lupe Fiasco's The Cool and Food and Liquor and The Cool, his first two albums?
I've probably heard pieces of it, not the whole thing through though.
Oh, okay. Well, that was.
You gotta put me
I'll have
onto
to
that.
say. I'll say that specifically when I was in like eighth grade, seventh, eighth grade, I'll tell you a couple albums that like that after I listened to them, it didn't make me produce per se, but it was like I had like unknowingly it was like, all right, I'm gonna produce some stuff. I got like FL Studio right after it, like the demo version, not even the full version, and like I was just kind of making stuff. Was the albums that made me kind of like really go into it was Kanye West's first three albums: The College
Hmm.
Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation. Those three albums, and then Lupe Fiasco's Food and Liquor and The Cool. And those albums, like even aside from the production, but what they were talking about,
Hmm.
uh, it was like, of course, I didn't want to be a rapper, but it kind of that also kind of changed my perspective on like how like rappers or singers and how people write and how they get their message out, because it was done in a way where like my mom would be playing it. She actually had bought the albums and we would play it in the car and she would explain to me the lyrics or what they meant to me while we were driving. She would say like this means this, and when he's talking about all
Hmm.
this like worldly stuff, and of course I'm taking it in, but it's not until I get a little older I'm like, damn, like that was some deep, and that was some like
Yeah,
deep stuff. And it's like it's relating to now. That also made me think of creating music. Like I want to create something that you can listen to it years from now, and it'll still feel like something
it'll
that'll
hold
it
an
can,
influence basically. I
yeah,
think
it can move you. It can still move you. You know.
yeah, like some
Um,
music it can withstand the test of time, and that's why people like Michael Jackson will like forever be loved, or people like the Beatles, stuff like that, because whatever they had in their music, you know
yeah.
what I mean. It's kind of like the same thing, and like I mean, I feel how you feel about Michael Jackson and the Beatles, but
Oh no, yeah,
it's
definitely, definitely, yeah, yeah. Like it's so many people. Yeah, they make timeless music, or they do anything that you remember, whether it's someone that made a movie or a direct or something that you've seen that it stays in your mind. It impacts you, and as a
110%.
creator, like even with your podcast, like even when you're doing this podcast now, like I've gotten messages about my podcast. I'm just like, I'm just doing them. I'm doing them. I'm having fun doing them with the people I'm having doing the podcast with. I get messages where people be like, "Oh, I was listening to it, and it made me like one guy, one of my homies, one of the guys that I talked to within the community, he said he made like a project off of like a podcast that I did with another pal of mine's, Jer.
Hmm.
And he made a whole project off of the podcast we did, and that was like, wow, like, and I'm not even like some big, you know what I mean? I'm kind of like, I'm still new to it too. I started mine was like last year, 2017 or something.
Hmm.
But it you never know, like what you're putting out does people do gravitate to, and they do hear it. Like, even if you don't think people don't have their eyes on it, they do. Even with
Yeah,
your podcast, like people are listening, you know. So definitely for you, like keep doing it, man. And how old are you?
I just turned 21 like a few months ago, actually, back in
Oh, okay.
October. Yeah,
Oh, cool,
so
cool. So, yeah, we're
um,
like near the same age.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
relatively
Um,
close.
yeah,
Yeah,
man. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. With your podcast and anything you're doing, like keep up with it. And like it does get hard sometimes, but it
yeah,
pays off. It will pay off. Like whether regardless of what everyone else thinks, it does pay off. Now, whether that means you're earning money, or that means you're meeting someone, or that means you're putting another platform, or somebody wants to, you know, someone big wants to. It doesn't matter what it is. It pays off and what benefits you. Like you might not know it now, but you'll understand later. And that goes for anyone, you know.
yeah,
So
absolutely. With whatever you're gonna do in life, there's always gonna be growing pains, even if it's something that you enjoy or love. Like it's
yeah,
impossible
yeah.
to not have that obstacle. Like
Oh
even
yeah.
even with what you're doing, like I'm sure there's been times where you might not have felt like the most inspired, or maybe you
No,
had like real life come up or something. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like you still pursue, you still push, and that's
that's
where it really matters.
that's what the payoff is once you get past it, man. Like once you know, like I got past that hump of like being down, and I just made something that's like when I make like one dope beat, or I just make something like it might not, I might listen to it later and be like, oh, it's okay. But in the moment, I make
Hmm.
something, I might be in the slump, or I might be feeling bad, or something happened, and I'm like, I'm just kind of like not into it, and I make something where like I get that feeling, and it's like a drug almost, but it's with music. You know, I'm getting high off the music itself, and it's like I'm
Yep.
in it. You know, and it kind of it captures like it brings something out of me that I kind of it might have been lost from me being like feeling down. You know, it brings out that inner younger me that was like that feeling of like excitement. Like this is, you know
Yep.
what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, especially
Yeah,
like with like music at least. Like I know how you said like you had some influence from Kanye West and Dylan and whatnot. Like when I think of that, man, like it is like a spark in you that kind of switches. And like I don't make music, but I know exactly what you're saying.
yeah, man. And I just
It's a different
it yeah,
feeling.
that spark, yeah, it hits you, and it's like it's
You
hard to
just try.
explain, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
it's more of a feeling than like something that can be explained through words. So I know exactly what you're saying.
yeah, and I want to share that feeling. That's when I make my music. I want to that feeling like it's like all right, and now it's time to share that feeling with everyone else. And I want if you can, you know, even if you don't feel it, but you might hear it and it might somewhat get you, but it's whoever
Yeah,
listens to it, they might feel different ways, but you'll feel something. If you can feel something, I've done my job. Like if you can
yeah,
feel something, it's like okay, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Like you were saying earlier, like you're gonna put it out there, and whoever it hits, but it's gonna resonate with somebody along the line, and like that was meant for them.
Yeah, yep. Someone that needs it. Someone might need to hear something that's motivational, or I get messages like I needed this today, and I'm like, all right, yep, I
Yeah,
did my. You know what I mean? That's I just need to see that comment, and I know that like, all right, I'm on the right track. You know,
exactly. Like what you're
it's not
doing,
even.
it's
Yeah,
you're
it's
on the
not.
right track. Basically, like you said, you're on the right track.
Yep, yep. It's beyond the money, man. Like it's beyond it just seeing like seeing the money or getting paid. It's like okay, yeah, like that was nice. Like and then also it's a multiple things that add up to adding on to that feeling of like, all right, let me keep doing what I'm doing. You know, that's for anyone. Like it's, I mean, some
Hmm.
people, it is about the money, but I wouldn't. I always talk about this with my buddies, like anybody, like my producer homies or whatever. Like we always talk about that. Like you do it, the love for it, whatever
Yeah,
it is, whatever you're doing. It doesn't have to be music or, but the love for what you're doing has to be there first. You know, and that's
exactly.
something that only you will understand. If for you will understand it first before someone else does.
Yep.
It's you expressing it is what comes after that. Learning to express it or get it out. So
Yep. Exactly that. Like, I couldn't have said it in any better way, to be honest. Just find what you love and stick with it. Don't worry about money. Just let it come naturally.
exactly.
It's a passion for a reason. It doesn't have to be money attached to it.
Exactly,
So
man.
I totally get it. But man, it was a pleasure having you on. We're hitting the hour mark. So like you said, yeah, I didn't even realize until I looked up, to be honest, which is this is the longest episode I've had. So I mean, I'm glad that it was with you. I'm glad to have you on as a first guest, to be honest, man. It was a great episode. Really good conversation. I got to have you back on at some point in time.
For sure, man. Just hit me up, man. I'm always down. You know, I got get you on my podcast too, just to like have you.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Hit me up whenever. I'll be there.
My calls, and we just talk. Yeah, man. Be dope.
Yeah. Let me know. I'll be there in a hot second. I got time. But
cool.
Any last minute plugs or anything like that? Where can people find you? Any new projects? What's going on with KiLaMDaPro?
Yeah, you can find me on I'm on like most of the social or main ones anyway, like Instagram, of course SoundCloud, Twitter, and Facebook. You can look me up, KiLaMDaPro, 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 just that. And I'm on there. You can look me up on Spotify or Google me or whatever, however you want to find me. You should pop up. And yeah, I got a couple of projects coming out. One with my homie Hobbs Duande. Me and him have a beat it's like a collab. He's a producer too, and it's like a beat take coming out, and then that should be like soon, maybe like in a couple next month or two. And another project with my homie S Miller, who he raps. He's from like Texas, San Antonio, and
cool.
That should be a dope one. Be on the lookout for that, and also check out the Foreknowledge site that we're putting together. It's in the beginning stages like yours, but we're getting to it. Foreknowledge, Foreknowledgecollective.com, FOREKNOWLEDGE collective.com, and that's where you can check out, I guess, most of our like recent latest projects from the people in the collective, and we have some merchandise on there, shirts and information about us and ways you can contact us. So that's our site, just for letting people know. So yep.
Right. Awesome stuff, man. I'm going to link everything that you just said in the description. So for whoever's listening, just check the description and you guys should be able to see everything that was just mentioned in the past minute or two. But man, it was a pleasure to have you on. And I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. Your music's fantastic. You're obviously reaching people. You found me. So just keep doing you, keep expressing, keep creating. Like, we need people like you. More people need to kind of follow your route and, you know, just forget just the craziness of life and just find that passion, find that little bit of creativity you have in you and just let it out. And I'm glad I had you on for this episode, man. I really appreciate you getting back to me. It means a lot, man.
For sure, man. Had to.
Yeah, with that said, though, we're going to wrap up this episode, and I'll catch you guys next week. Thanks, KiLaMDaPro. Head out now.
Peace.
Peace.